Hey there, fellowship. Welcome to this week's episode. Before we get going, have you heard about Anchor by Spotify? Well, if you have an idea for a podcast and an audience that you think will listen, Anchor by Spotify is the right choice. You can record, you can edit, and you can distribute your podcast to all the major platforms all on your phone or your computer. Everything you need in one place. The Anchor app or Anchor.fm. So go to those places right now. Record your voice. We want to hear it. And welcome to this episode of the Pretty Neat Podcast. It's time for the Pretty Neat Podcast. Hi, Dom.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm
better than Glover Teixeira. I'll say that much.
Dude, yeah, you're looking at ESPN. You got that still image with that gaping wound that is his right eyebrow.
He got the shit beat out of him.
I read a thing that his coaches in the corner had a vote on whether to throw in the towel at the end of round 3. And that it was the majority to not throw in the towel. But apparently his head coach wanted to stop it after round 3. That
head coach should have just been the head coach and stopped it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm making this decision. This is not a coachocracy, coach democracy. This is a coach tatership.
I mean, and it should be, right? It can't. You got to protect the guy. He's only 43. He looks like he's about 60. And you gotta protect the fighter at all times, I think. And I think there's like a double meaning to that.
Yeah.
No, I agree. They're not looking at the rest of his life. They're looking at it from the perspective of this is likely his last fight as a professional fighter.
Well, you could really break it down to be like, it's not just that they're not looking at the rest of his life. They're only looking at like the next 15 to 25 minutes. It's fucking wild. Like I don't know. I suppose we'll get more into it, but
yeah, we will. But we just dive right in on the Pretty Neat Podcast, we
dive in head first into the shallow pool that is the Pretty Neat Podcast.
Yes, don't look at the lights. Don't follow the lights.
Don't follow the light.
Welcome to the Pretty Neat Podcast, everybody. That's the podcast you're listening to. We talk about UFC and other pretty neat things. I'm joined by my friends Dom and Ryan. Every week I'm Aaron, and that's what we do. We shoot the double and shoot the shit.
This is week like 106 in a row that Giga Chikadze will not be joining us.
Yes, this is.
I want it to be made clear he has a standing invitation.
He definitely does. Yeah, welcome to the show. Glad you're here. Y'all, I didn't expect my wife to like Power Slap more than I did.
Mine did too.
You know what's funny is that your wife was trying to talk my wife into watching Power Slap, and she's like, nah, not gonna do it.
And my wife was trying so hard.
She's like, I get you. It's ridiculous. Yes, it sounds moronic, but you have to watch it. Take it so seriously.
I left this room after we started recording, and I'm like, hey, I want to watch this Power Slap League. And sometimes I'll do stuff to my wife, or I'll tell her something or say something that's completely not true. And just commit to. Aaron knows this. It's not just her. I do it to a lot of people. And I will see how long I can keep the fish on the hook, as it were. And the
record right now is 14 years, by the way. I've kept tabs.
That's right. Yeah.
For at least one person.
It's 14 consecutive years. And so I'm explaining it to her, and she's like, is this one of those things where I'm going to Google it and it's going to not be true? And I was like, no, I know it sounds made up, but it's real. And she's like, and they're just gonna slap each other. Like,
The thing
I think so. I haven't seen it yet. And so we turn it on, and she's like, I don't know how long I can watch this.
We definitely had multiple sittings. We couldn't do the full like 44 minutes of it.
What did you guys think of the guy who gets up and he's like, what happened? And they're like, you just got knocked out. And he's like, was I in a fight? It's like, kind of. You were kind of in a fight, but really you stood there and that other guy slapped you.
Yeah, it's so good. And the girl
so
who did
weird.
the somersault was just amazing.
Oh man, yeah, she did.
And she looked like one of our old bosses. I think you'll know which one. Yep. She really did.
Oh, that was my first thought too.
Yep, yeah, totally mine. And the thing with my wife too that surprised her after she looked it up was not only that there's power slap, but that there's also slap fighting championship. Like the fact that we're multiple organizations blew her mind.
I love how Dana's explanation at the beginning of the show was these YouTube videos of these Russians slapping each other get like 350 million views. It's like, I don't know that translates to TBS, but
he didn't watch the South Park episode on YouTube's hypothetical dollars.
Right. Yeah, it's internet money and it's gone. Yeah.
And it's gone. Yeah,
So
that was kind of the majority of my weekend while my wife sewed. We watched Power Slap on and off in between other things. It was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But shit.
Far more rules than you would expect.
Far more.
Yeah. I like how they have to tell them how many like practice measure ups they're gonna get.
Right.
Yeah.
Three.
It's so right.
Right.
And then Herzog's so serious. He's like, right 3. And he's like, 1, 2. I'm like, is this fucking real? What's happening?
Start the recovery period.
Yeah,
for sure.
30 seconds to recover. I'm good. Okay, you have 30 seconds for your slap. You need to confirm.
Is it more dangerous than an MMA fight?
Oh, it might be, especially
There's no defense. There's no possibility for defense. In fact, you could have somebody that they had a foul where a guy like used his hips and turned into it and his foot came off the ground. That was a foul, but he still fucking hit the guy.
Yeah, the guy still got hit.
Like, we're going to take away a half point, start
it's
the
a
recovery
point
period.
deduction if you hit somebody in the ear, which is almost like a knockout blow, right? You can't lead with the base of your palm. You can't lift your foot off of the ground. You have to remain parallel to the person. All of these things are fouls. And then on top of that, if you don't knock them out, somehow there's judging for that.
You still may not hit them well enough.
Somehow somebody won a 3-round fight 29-28. I don't get it. They both got slapped an equal number of times and neither of them got knocked out.
And if you'd have told me that a refereeing scoring system, not refereeing, but judging and scoring rather, would make less sense than like boxing or MMA, I'd have been like, you're out of your fucking mind. And then they're like, oh yeah? Watch these guys slap each other with no set rules except counted, practice measurements or whatever.
We have to get Herzog on.
Weird.
Let's get Herzog on the program since he was so flattered by our post on social media.
He also has a standing invitation.
Definitely standing invitation to come on the podcast. Herzog, come on. And that goes for everyone else. You can go to our Instagram and follow us. Go to theprettyneatpodcast.com and that's where you can find it and converse with us.
Because if you find it, then you'll know where it is.
Yeah, and it's much better than just us knowing it.
It's much better. Ryan and I did pretty well on our NFL picks.
Yeah. I believe you did.
I think
Cowboys.
we got 2 out of 4, right? I had Dallas. We both had Buffalo.
Yeah.
But I think we had KC and
was
Philly.
That was disrespect to Cincinnati just based on how that transpired.
I'm going to have to admit that Philadelphia and Cincinnati are a lot better than I thought they were because they just dismantled Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
They did. They bracketed Stephon Diggs and said, okay, beat us with something else.
And the Bills could not do it.
And they just ran all over them too.
Yep. Do you want to pick our Super Bowl participants?
Yeah, let's go for it. So the first game on Sunday is what?
49ers Eagles. Eagles are a 2.5-point favorite, and they are the home team.
2.5 points. And you usually get 3
You get 3 for being the home team.
Being for home team. I like it. Both teams' defenses are great.
Yeah.
And a little bit unpredictable on what the offenses are going to bring, with Jalen Hurts still being hurt and Brock Purdy being a rookie, right? And never having this type of pressure thrust upon him in this type of stage. I'm gonna go 49ers here, and this is why. In the game against the Cowboys, did you see how fucking loose Greg Kittle was? George Kittle? Greg Kittle?
Yes.
Just how loose he was. He was staring.
Let's call him Greg Kittle because I know it will infuriate the 49ers bullshit fan base. So go ahead.
Okay.
Greg Kittle.
So definitely George Greg Kittle, GG, as we call him. Super fucking loose, balling out. Brock Purdy making timely plays. I like the fact that they have McCaffrey and Mitchell for running back 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Mitchell is a way better inside runner, and then McCaffrey does everything outside, and then receiving is excellent. And while I really like AJ Brown and his physicality on the Eagles squad, he can't do the same things that Deebo Samuel does in his run after the catch ability and his ability to take it out of the backfield, or at least he's never been utilized as such to the extent that Deebo is. And I think the 49ers and the Eagles are pretty comparable on defense. I would give the slight edge to the 49ers just in overall defense and their ability to take away the ball. So I'll go 49ers here.
Okay. So Jalen Hurts went 16 for 24 for 154 yards and 2 touchdowns. They didn't really need him. They have two Kenneth Gainwell and Miles Sanders. Both nearly went for 100 yards. Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, thank you, and AJ Brown, who only had 3 catches for 22 yards. I think this really just comes down to how healthy Hurts is. I think the Eagles are a hair better, and I think there is a home field advantage here. And Niners fans aren't going to like this. This isn't me being a Rams fan. I watched every second of that game against the Cowboys. Brock Purdy was really pedestrian. He made the right. He did not beat them. He made a couple of really dumb plays where he lucked out and was able to throw the ball away before he got sacked. I do think that luck runs out for him at some point. Also, now they're 12 wins in a row. It's hard to have sustained winning streaks like that in the NFL. And I think a slightly better team would have beaten them last Sunday. And I think Philly is a slightly better team than Dallas. Dak also just gave the ball away in a couple of untimely situations. So that's pretty tough. I'm going to take the Eagles. And if the 49ers beat them, I will take whoever I will pick against the 49ers in the Super Bowl too. But I do think, and ESPN has the Eagles at a 66% chance to advance to the Super Bowl. So okay. I think the advanced numbers maybe favor them a little bit. And then our second game, of course, Bengals Chiefs.
I'm going Bengals here. A couple of factors, right? Mahomes, high ankle sprain.
That's the factor for me.
Yeah, he came back in the second half, but a lot of commentary around after you kind of cool down, right? And you're not in that mode, right? I'm going to do a really bad job of describing this, but
the adrenaline stops.
The adrenaline stops. You're not in the moment, and that thing's going to swell. It's going to get stiff. He's going to get treatment all week. He's probably going to go as far as sleeping in a hypobaric chamber.
Oh yeah,
kind of a la Terrell Owens, right? When he was playing with the Eagles, or was that the Cowboys? I'm not sure, but
probably
anyway.
both.
Definitely can't consider him to be 100% going into that game. And the Bengals are playing so good, right? They can run the ball. They're efficient. Each and every time I see Joe Burrow in the playoffs, I like him more and more. Like his ability to just lead a team, make the right decision, and have that confidence. It's pretty infectious. And I think they're peaking at the right time right now. But
Well, they're definitely. What'd you say?
It'll be a close game, and I see that
Yeah.
Cincinnati's currently the favorite.
Yeah,
1.5
that's got to
points.
be because of Mahomes' ankle.
Yeah.
Man, this is so tough. If Mahomes is 100%, for sure, I go Kansas City here, but I don't know. I don't know. He'll get all the cortisone, all the deer antler spray, all the whatever to figure this thing out. I'm sure he won't be on it too much during the week. They'll make sure he can. He's just got to maintain some mobility. I think he's got such a freaking cannon of an arm. But Joe Burrow's a beast. They have great receivers. Their defense is good. Their offensive line is just good enough. It's slightly better than it was last year. So they know what it takes to get there. They have a good coach. The Bengals are really well coached. Zach Taylor somebody was making this point over the weekend, but he does not get enough credit for as good of a coach as he is. So that
super unheralded.
Yeah.
Right? He's not a name that you say a lot, but to your point, very well coached.
I do think though, also Zach Taylor, no big deal, comes from the Sean McVay coaching tree. So, yeah, give me Cincinnati, I guess.
So Cincinnati and San Francisco. Do you then you're picking Cincinnati then in the
Yes.
Super Bowl? Okay.
I mean, listen, I think top to bottom, last year's Rams are better than this year's 49ers. The defenses are probably pretty close, and I do think the Rams are a touch better on offense last year. And the Bengals damn near beat them. So, granted, Jamar Chase got away with like a really egregious offensive pass interference and made that, and OBJ went down. But whatever, the Rams still won. So, I actually think I would take Cincinnati over Philly too. So,
yeah.
Logic
behind that, just the heat that the Bengals are bringing right now.
I just think Joe Burrow's that guy. As the kids say,
too.
I think he's him.
Joe Cool.
Joe Shiesty.
The good doctor likes San Francisco.
Well, fuck that.
He had the Bengal game rudely interrupted on Saturday. That's part of Saturday's adventure he had.
What? Yeah, let's get to the good doctor shenanigans.
Oh, he was
not a man that wants to be interrupted, but a man who wants to do the interrupting.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. You know where I get it from. He was at his home, at his domicile, comfortably relaxing on the sofa, enjoying the Bengal game, which was on Saturday, correct? I got the right day. Was that Saturday?
That game was on Sunday.
Which game was on Saturday? That's the one he was watching.
That was Jags, Chiefs, Eagles, Giants.
Okay. So, he must have been watching
probably the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think he was watching the Giants.
Oh, that makes sense. New York. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. My Uncle Jay was at the Giants Philly game. He watched them lose.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there, in the town where he lives, watching the game, enjoying himself. Wife is out of town. He's having a great old time. And about 50 fucking police officers roll up in his park in front of his house and jump out and slam on his doors. And of course, this is my dad telling me this whole story. So he's like, so all the cars pull up, they start banging on my fucking door, and they're like, stay in the house, don't come out for nothing. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man? I'm running around in my jet skis, wondering what the Michigas is. His neighbor across the street was the Monterey shooter.
Holy shit.
Oh, fuck.
Literally directly across. We parked at his home.
I remember,
we exited the car and went to the right into his home. If we had gone to the left across the street, we would have been in that person's home.
I believe that is the same place where my wife's comfortably in their 80s grandparents live, which, speaking of, it was her grandpa's birthday. It was her grandpa's birthday the other day, and they were they were having dinner at 2:30 at Cheesecake Factory to celebrate. And I was, he doesn't use a phone anymore. So I texted her grandma and I was like, hey, what's your Venmo? I was like, I want to pay for lunch or dinner, whatever the fuck this is. It's 2:30. I don't know. And she responds as she does, what's Venmo? So it's like, you know what? Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was his day. He spent his day locked in his house for 6 hours while caution tape was wrapped up, and he watched
that's wild.
Football games and had to
Am I allowed to ask, did he know the individual?
No, that was the whole thing, is he lived in a couple of places. He had more than one house.
Yeah.
And
probably pretty common for all of the Good Doctor's neighbors, I'd imagine.
Probably. He was he's super reclusive, He obviously had some disorder.
He really enjoyed ballroom dancing, from what I understand. I read an article about it because that's where it took place.
Yeah.
And here's an interesting fact. In the last 50 years, there's been a nonprofit agency that's kind of documented all of the types of shootings that have gone across the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So this is only the second time in that documented history that a shooting had taken place where the assailant was over 70 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
The first time was in 1981 in Kentucky for a retired coal miner who had, I guess, shot up the place.
Yeah. This was a lover's quarrel. This was like exes and family and weird shit happening. I'm glad that it was not karaoke that had that, because the Good Doctor is let us just say the prince of karaoke.
Does he do Africa by Toto?
He could do whatever you put in front of him with confidence and grace.
I have a hatred for karaoke that is irrational, which probably surprises neither of you at this point. I don't want to make light of the situation because it's deeply horrifying, but it does seem that there was like a different type of mental instability behind this incident than other similar.
Mm-hmm. There's going to be some investigations because he went to the police the day before, talking about some clear paranoid schizophrenic symptoms going on. And maybe Hemet should have got a social worker instead of a tank.
Hemet got a tank?
They should. Hemet needs a tank too.
Damn.
Shout out.
I had heard that he had gone to the Hemet Police Department to file claims of family members poisoning him that happened 10 to 20 years prior.
Yeah.
But the article that I read seemed like it was odd that he would have driven from Monterey Park to Hemet to file that, but it makes far more sense now knowing that he had a domicile in Hemet. So
yeah, crazy shit.
You hear about the one in Half Moon Bay? That was also an elderly gentleman, 67 years old. He was a worker at a mushroom farm.
What?
Like psychedelic or portobello?
No, just like mushroom.
Okay.
Obviously,
speaking of
not
mushrooms, Dom, you watching The Last of Us?
Let's talk about it.
All right, Last of Us.
Let's talk about it. I am not watching it yet. Have you played the game?
No.
Okay.
I have.
So that's one of those games. I assume there's like some crossover of people listening to the show that have also played The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not reaching there.
No, I have to listen to this, and I've played it.
That's right. Yeah. Me too. So I actually have only played like a percentage of the first one. I have not played the second one. I tried to play it in like the height of COVID actually, and I was just like, this is not working for me right now. This is just a little too close to home.
Yeah, that'd be
so I'm gonna play Red Dead Redemption instead. But
nice.
So I am going to watch it. What are your initial thoughts? People are saying it's good, not like your normal video game remake or adaptation.
Yeah, it's been lauded as like the first real successful, initially it's only been 2 episodes, live action adaptation of a video game. because there's been animated adaptations that have panned out well, but
Yes,
you know,
that is true.
for HBO to get behind it, you got Pedro Pascal, who's the Mandalorian,
Yes, he is.
and Liana
Narcos.
Mormont as Ellie.
That's right.
It's become somewhat, you know, again, the resurgence of monoculture viewing. So much so that Aaron and his spouse and me and my spouse will watch it virtually together and then not really text during the episode because it's so like gripping. And then Aaron will be like, I can tell by the lack of texting going on that this is a very good episode.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. But you know,
which if you want to get in on that, Dom, we'll start a chat. We try and time it exactly on Sunday. We literally started at the exact same moment.
Yes.
Oh, I appreciate the invite. I'll think about it.
Dude, I've played the first game all the way through. I played the DLC with Ellie and Riley, and I played Last of Us 2.
Okay.
I've flipped through a couple of the books at the shop, but I haven't read the comics. But the game is really what they're going off of, and the show's only going to get better. And I know that because the game got better and they're following the game.
And Pedro Pascal looks just like Joel.
Mm-hmm.
Like he really does.
He's great casting.
Yeah.
The whole show.
It's on my PlayStation. Maybe I should hop back in with all my free time.
Marlene, the leader of the Fireflies, reprised the role. She played that in the game.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah. And Joel's brother also. His brother is the same voice actor as the
game. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of those. A lot of the game people will cross over. Rumor mill is Ellie's mom will be played by the person who played Ellie in the games.
Ashley Johnson, right?
Yeah, I think that's her name. Yeah, she was in the Avengers. Like she's the waitress during the big battle scene of the Avengers that they keep going back to. Like Captain America saved us all.
Was she in the? I thought she was in the bank, right? She was in the bank, right?
Wait, she's in the bank too.
What are you talking about?
The original Avengers.
Yeah,
the first movie.
The first Avengers collab.
And
Ashley Johnson, I believe she was in the bank.
Yeah.
And then Captain America saved them multiple times.
Oh yeah, bank.
Okay.
She's in it multiple times, but she was
and she does the voice of Ellie
in the game, yeah.
Okay.
Ashley Johnson, Ellie. And it did all of the motion capture work and stuff too.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So yeah. But she's gonna apparently play Ellie's mom, is what it looks like.
All right.
Last of Us is so good. It's so freaking good.
I gotta dive in.
I like the changes they made though. Like the small one that is valid and important is like in the game they have spores, so everyone's wearing gas masks except Ellie. But obviously that's Pedro Pascal did that with The Mandalorian. He doesn't need another show where he's wearing a mask the whole time.
You can't see my face.
Yeah. And then the fungi threading under the ground for miles like they do in nature.
Yeah.
That wasn't a thing in the game.
Going off of the concept of the mycelium.
Yeah, the big one in Oregon, like the 4 mile
yeah, it's like it's a whole connected network, and that's like the concept that they're using, which is terrifying, honestly, as a concept.
But it's real.
Yes, it is real.
Mushrooms are fucking crazy. Like, I don't really want to get into it right now, but
guys, mushrooms are crazy.
The ones that grow on the ants' heads, you know about those?
Yes, this is the same concept.
Yeah, that's what they're based on.
But if nature had changed so that the temperature at which they could survive was 3 degrees higher than it could survive inside of a person, like with global warming,
Hang on, let me get my hat.
And if we're
somewhere,
we're all addicted to bread products, and it infects flour as it does in the show, then humanity. Yeah.
Listen, there's a lot there. I don't really eat bread anymore, and it's one of the saddest parts of my life, but also I feel comfortably like thousands of percentage points better not eating it. So
I've accidentally kind of cut it out over the last like 5 days and feel really, really good.
oh dude, yeah, and it's like a 3 to 7 day adjustment period, but after you're like, oh yeah, this is way better.
Totally.
But then you're like, also give me that loaf of sourdough right fucking now.
Yeah.
You know.
I do.
Pizza.
Pizza will pull anyone. That's for sure.
Oh, dude. I come like February, well, either like February 4th or the 11th or the 18th or something. The wife and I have like an overnight planned, and we're going to go to a very famous San Diego pizza establishment. They have like 4 of them. No shit, no free shout outs.
Pizza
and
port?
I said no free shout outs, you
God
son of a bitch. And I'm going to eat
Get me
all
beer
of
buddies.
it.
Get me the beer buddies.
I'm going to eat all of it.
Bring me beer buddies, please.
All of it. No, fuck you.
We already talked sports, but maybe we should talk about UFC 283.
That's not a sport.
We have a light heavyweight champion of the world, friends. A new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher.
Yeah.
Since we've had a new one every year for the last 4 years. And it's Jamahal Hill. I guess we start there. We already talked about Glover and like almost tossing in the towel. He did retire. We have to send him off correctly, right? Glover, great career. That's awesome. Bro. We're gonna talk about Jamahal Hill and him on the ladder, as it were, in a little bit, in a tasty new segment I have planned. Initial thoughts just on that fight, that particular fight, and then what do you think?
I was surprised at how that transpired. Clearly we were all rooting for Glover because we had him as part of our pretty neat parlay, which had already been dismantled. Fight.
I'm just going to come clean with it. So I did place the pretty neat parlay, right? That happened.
Okay. Yeah.
Then Paul Craig was like, hey, you're not good at sports betting. And Johnny Walker was like, that's right. Watch me club this guy without the sub. So then I was like, fuck it. So I threw down a 4-fighter with Jessica Andrade, Gilbert Burns, Brandon Moreno, and Glover Teixeira, which paid out like plus 6 something.
Yeah.
Not for big money. It was not.
Sure.
You know. And I was like, okay, that feels pretty good. We'll talk about those 2 middle fights, but they went the way the odds said they would go. And then Brandon Moreno beat the fuck out of Deivisen Figueiredo. And we'll talk about that. And I was feeling pretty good. And I was thinking, I'm going to hit one of these. And then I was looking at the fight and I was like, oh, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
No.
Jamahal Hill called it like at the after he won too, like how everyone was saying that if it went into the later rounds, he was done. And he was like, what the fuck you talking about now? Like, and props.
Well, yeah. How many people hate Jamahal Hill? That was, know. You guys know George Lucas thinks that like people hate R2-D2. Did you guys know that? That's like a real, George Lucas really thinks that people hate a lot of Star Wars stuff that people genuinely love. You can find quotes. Yeah. And in fact, credit to Binge Mode who did their Star Wars coverage. And they talked about that, how George Lucas just thinks people hate it, which is fucking ridiculous. Jamahal Hill, who didn't like you, dude?
Dude, I think
we've been pro Jamahal Hill on this show for a long time.
Yeah, it's true. Jamahal Hill, I think it was the crowd, dude, and even Brandon Moreno was like calling the Brazilian people assholes and shit
he
like
called them
that.
dogs.
Sorry, he called them
dogs.
dogs.
That's better than calling them assholes.
He said it in Spanish too. He called them perros.
I don't know why that just like took me back to
Perro.
Three Ninjas. Tell us we will die like dogs. Or not Three Ninjas, Three Amigos.
It's like,
That
I
was
don't
like
remember that from Three
the
Ninjas.
Three Ninjas. Damn.
We're talking about karate.
Rocky, Colt, and Tum Tum.
Rocky loves Emily, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow. Okay.
What
We're
a
just gonna-
the only place you get UFC and Three Ninjas is right here. It's the only place.
You can't go anywhere else.
We're gonna have to do like a pretty neat movie review one of these days.
You know what I swear to you, I was just gonna say, really what we should do is like a pretty neat 90s review.
I'm
You
down.
should.
Because the further we get from the 90s, the more I'm like, what a strange time. You know?
You're not
coming
wrong.
back. It's coming
It is
back.
coming back.
This
don't
is the
support
decade
it.
that the 90s resurge.
Yeah.
I think so too. I do.
And I think there were like multiple Three Ninjas movies, weren't there?
There were at least 3.
Yeah, because there was Three Ninjas Kick Back, and Three
Kick Back.
Ninjas at something mountain.
This is
it was
crazy.
like a Western almost.
And
And
it
Hulk
was
Hogan
Disney.
was in
It
it.
was Touchstone Buena Vista.
Yeah. Ah, man, the beginning of that movie. Yeah, light up the eyes, boys. Light up the eyes.
It's so crazy.
Glover
Anyway,
Glover had his eyes lit up
Yeah, Glover got lit up.
yes, he did.
just to bring that conversation
What's
back.
so weird, like watching that
Yeah.
fight, it looked almost like he was just half-assing takedowns.
There were 3
Yeah.
sequels. Three Ninjas
Jesus.
Kick Back, Knuckle Up, and High Noon at Mega Mountain.
There it is.
High Noon, that's the Western one that I was thinking about.
And it's at like a theme park.
Yeah, and that's the one that has Hulk Hogan. Because the theme park one has that one.
Yes, it does. And Jim Varney.
Really?
Okay, yeah.
Nice. Ernest
Anyway.
Scared Stupid was the scariest movie I've ever seen. Just FYI for your future knowledge. Yuri Prohaska said that Glober like really just looked like he wasn't there, like he wasn't in it, that it wasn't the Glober he fought.
hmm
And he certainly called out Jamal, which yeah, that's the next fight, right? If
Well,
Yuri's
when do
healed up.
we want to do the ladder now? Because we're starting at the top of the card.
Why not? Let's do this thing with Jamahal Hill where we take a look at the top 15 and run him through it a little bit. Let's climb the ladder with Jamahal Hill at light heavyweight, who's now the champion. We're looking at it on our screens. We have the top 15 in front of it. I've noted that here on the top 15, Glover, who he defeated just this past weekend at UFC 283, he's defeated Johnny Walker, who's currently ranked 9th. He lost to Paul Craig, the nasty dislocated elbow in June of 21, and he beat Jimmy Crute in December of 21, who's ranked 13th. Everybody else in the top 15 he's not fought yet. So we're just going to work our way up from the bottom. And does he win the fight? Right?
Okay.
I mean, I feel like we really don't have to for maybe the first couple, right? Dustin Jacoby
Yes.
Smokes.
smokes him. Khalil Roundtree.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Crute, he beat already. Dominic Reyes.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. Everybody beats Dominic Reyes right now.
I think I could beat Dominic Reyes.
Chuck Liddell could beat Dominic Reyes.
Maybe so.
I think Ryan Spann is where it can kind of start to get interesting.
Well, would he beat Paul Craig today?
Yes.
Oh shit.
I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah, he would beat Paul Craig today. Ryan Spann.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Didn't Ryan Spann get beat by Johnny Walker?
He did at the last Johnny Walker came back. Ryan Spann really clobbered him for 90% of the fight. But yeah,
Okay.
I think Jamal takes him too. Volkan Ozdemir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
he beats him.
Yeah, I think you'd knock him out too. Johnny Walker now.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah, same. Do you think it would go the same way? Knock him out?
probably.
Catch him? Yeah. Nikita Krylov.
Interesting.
I actually think
I
that,
like Nikita Krylov.
yeah. Why do you like Nikita Krylov in this one?
Volume, maybe a little bit more well-rounded, mixing up his strikes. Although Jamahal Hill in that fight, switching stance and then using the left high kick
What
to
the
just
fuck?
batter Glover was really impressive. So if he did something similar to that, where he would adds in a layer of unpredictability,
Yeah.
interesting.
Dude,
So
when he found that high kick, it was like playing the video game and you discover how to do that move and you're like, "Oh, this works really well," and you just do it over and over again.
I mean,
Like,
that's exactly what he did. He's
the
like,
fact that
okay.
Glover stayed standing after one of those, though, was like, holy shit.
I mean,
yeah.
he said that he's too tough for his own good.
He is too tough for his own good.
Mm-hmm.
So Krylov, his last few fights in reverse order. So he beat Volkan Ozdemir, beat Alexander Gustafsson, lost to Paul Craig, lost to Ankalaev, beat Johnny Walker, lost to Glover, and that's going back to 2019. So I got to go with Jamahal Hill here.
Yeah. Next up, sixth in the rankings right now, which is an interesting story, is Anthony Lionheart Smith, who actually weighed in and missed weight as the backup for this
Is that
fight
true?
last weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was sick.
He weighed in and missed weight at 186.
Interesting.
186. You mean 206?
206, my bad. And he vowed not to miss weight ever again because
You can't be 206 because it's a title
Championship weight.
fight. Okay,
championship weight. Yeah, got to be right on it. And he gives a lot of fighters a lot of shit about making weight on the Believe You Me podcast with Mike Bisping. And he, you know what? He took the shit right back. He took it healthily, and he said he's never going to miss weight again. And you know what? When you have a shot at the belt like that, especially when your last shot was against Jon Jones, like,
Oh yeah.
don't fuck it up. I'm sorry. Lose the pound. Figure it out. Shave your nutsack.
Shave your nutsack? That's a pound right there.
I think you need to go to the doctor.
But how would have that have gone? I
Jamal.
actually, Jamal, you think so?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jamahal Hill would beat the shit out of Anthony Smith.
I like Anthony Smith. I think he's
I do too.
I think he's very articulate and thoughtful when he's doing commentary in the booth. But he's the guy who's fighting at 205 because he really had a hard time making 185.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see where he's actually like put on weight to his frame to be a more formidable 205er.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
It does.
And he's a self-described jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
But he always likes to keep it on the feet.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't a jiu-jitsu guy against Teixeira.
No, he was not.
It was all part of the job, dude. He's getting
Yeah.
the shit beat out of him.
Yeah, that
Losing
was
his
crazy.
teeth.
Yeah. Well, that answers that. Glover, we obviously know. Alexander Ratchich is interesting because he's been out for a while with the leg injury. I'd want to see how he came back, but like from a kickboxing perspective, he would be very threatening, in my opinion, with Jamahal Hill. I think he'd be very formidable.
I tend to agree. I actually think 4-1 is where it starts to become a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think Rakic was, until he got injured, he was beating Blachowicz
Yeah.
in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
On the feet.
I think Jamal beats Blachowicz because he's way more
his output's higher.
he's way more accurate and his output is higher. And it looks like he employs a little bit more variability in the striking than Blachowicz does, even though Blachowicz has an excellent low leg kick. I like Rakic. I like Rakic to give Jamal a real test.
Yeah, me too. Healthy Rockets. We'll see how his knee is.
Yeah.
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 if those two like battled it out in a decision, like and it came to a decision, I couldn't see. I wouldn't be able to pick. Like if I knew it was gonna go to decision, I would
Yeah.
give I'd give Jamal the early edge, only because his hands seem so crisp.
When he kept up that pace pretty well for that whole fight.
He
Yeah,
did.
and he knocked Jimmy Crute the fuck out and
Mhm.
Johnny Walker. Like
Mhm.
he knocked Johnny Walker into the fucking shadow realm. And
Was that the Testify knockout?
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah, he definitely did. Yeah, I think Rakic really makes it interesting. But I agree with you, Dom. I think Jamal Hill would beat Jan Blachowicz.
That was
I,
Ryan's point, but I agree.
yeah, yeah,
I think Jan's window has closed.
yeah. It has.
I think maybe the best, like the absolute best version of Jan, which I think is past, probably beats Jamal Hill, but I don't think we see that version again.
hmm
I agree.
What about Magomed then? That's kind of the big one if we're not throwing Yuri out there immediately.
I'm concerned about Magomed, his ability to put his game plan into action in big
Yeah.
spots because he really laid a dud against Jan. He should have won that fight easily,
hmm
in my opinion.
Especially after he figured
Um,
out the takedown.
yeah, and he just allowed Jan to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, we should show a little respect to Jan, for maybe taking some of his abilities away. But I think most people think he won, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Magomed, based on Jamal's takedown defense with Glober, I mean, we talked about Glober kind of looked a little half cocked in him. Uh, but if he can actually prepare like that well for Magomed, he could stuff that and really pose problems for him. Even though Magomed's only ever been submitted, um, Jamal Hill's just got that thing. He can hit. He can hit.
Well, yeah, Paul Craig submitted Ankalaev, but
Yeah.
Ankalaev is undefeated since then.
Yep. Yeah. Amazing that Paul Craig just is that kryptonite for some people.
Yep, for sure. That's a tough one for me. I would say it's a pick 'em. Whoever maybe looks better that night. I think there's a version of Ankalaev that wins. I think there's a version of Jamal Hill that wins.
I might call me crazy. I think the Jamal Hill we saw this Saturday would pose a threat to Yuri. Also, I mean, Yuri gets hit. Glober almost knocked him out. And I don't think that shit will fly with Jamal. I think Jamal would capitalize and it would be almost similar to the Johnny Walker fight.
You have a valid point because Yuri does get hit. He's a
5.4
wild man.
minute absorbed.
He's too wild. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this year Jamal defends against Yuri and then loses it to Alex Pereira when he moves up.
Do you think Alex Pereira moves up in 2023?
Yes.
If he beats Israel
at the end of the year, yeah.
and Whitaker,
he's going to defend it once, whether it's Whitaker or Stylebender, and then I think he moves up and gets both.
Alex did say that he wants to fight in May, and he doesn't care if it's Israel or Whitaker.
Mm-hmm.
And that would put him in line.
Alex
to fight
Pereira
again.
would fucking starch Robert Whitaker.
Yeah, and I think
what would he do to Jamal Hill?
I think he beats him.
I think he would beat Jamal Hill.
I think that Pereira. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think Pereira would beat Yuri though.
No?
Well, certainly on the ground. Yuri submitted Glover to
but
share.
Yuri gets hit. Damn it! See,
yeah.
No,
have fun with that. I think Pereira is just he's a Rubik's cube, except 3 colors are the same side or something. I don't know, like
yeah,
or 3 sides are the same color. Like I don't know. I think the best version of Yuri, healthy Yuri, probably beats Jamal Hill. I think Alex Pereira beats them both.
Fair. So
Ryan,
Jamal,
what do you think?
It's interesting. Glover, said he's going to step away. He's going to put all of his time and effort into Pereira, which I think is the right move. And They said eventually he'll move up to 205, which is very intriguing because it's like what we were all saying, and he's essentially confirming it. Yeah, he's going to move up. The time frame is what we all want to know, and he's got the frame. He's 6'4". He could definitely put on some additional weight. He's very formidable.
Yeah.
But again, similar to what we were talking about with Jamahal Hill, it's that those top 3 or so fighters where you're like, I don't know. It really is dependent upon who employs their game. Jamahal Hill, that's interesting as a stand-up battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yuri is definitely like the main thing about Yuri fights is that they're unpredictable. And then Magomed, if he can get his game off, suffocating top pressure, and that's not where Pereira wants to be, right? He wants to keep it standing.
Yeah. Man, Pereira moving up would add some extra.
I don't know that we should say moving up. I think he's already a 205er. I think he's moving down when he's fighting at middleweight.
That's fair. That's fair. He has a giant frame. We commented on that when he fought Izzy.
He's fucking huge. Yeah.
Standing side by side, like he looks like he's a weight class bigger.
He looks like Dalsim from Street Fighter.
And he certainly is not afraid, right? The moment is not too big for him. He does not care. I think anybody in that size range has trouble with his striking. Yuri, again, he gets hit 5.4 times significantly per minute. That's significant against a guy like Pereira. Stylebender, for what it's worth, absorbs 2.8. So if Yuri's going to take almost double the amount of shots from a guy like Alex Pereira, I don't know. Jamahal Hill, kind of the same. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. Suddenly that middleweight, light heavyweight is way more interesting than we thought it was going to be this time last year. So,
yeah. Hey, and you know what? Shout out to the Johnny Walker fans out there, because like the only autograph I had left on eBay was a Johnny Walker one, and it like tripled the value of it. So
hey,
shout out to whoever bought that if you actually took the time to listen to the podcast. Hey, I hope you like that Johnny Walker, because it's a dope card. It's super dope. Speaking of Johnny Walker though, I feel bad for Paul Craig, but he got caught playing his game. Seriously, it looked like all Johnny Walker trained was those hammer fists. Like, that's all you have to do to train against Paul Craig is hammer fists.
And it's like, I don't know what Paul was thinking. Like, you can't just hold on to the leg and let somebody beat you in the side of the head. You got to do something with that guy.
Yep.
It barely worked against Nikita Krylov. Like, do you remember when Nikita was in top position and just throwing fucking haymakers down on him, ground and pound, and that's how he locked it up? But like, he was getting hit. His head was bouncing off the canvas.
Yeah.
Shit. Thought he was done.
Not an early stoppage.
No, not an early stoppage. And I know they talked up about him getting a different striking coach. But they need to do more work.
Yeah.
Paul Craig?
Yes.
Yeah, I think his deficiencies in striking are such that there's not enough time on earth to like close that gap.
Yeah.
That's no shot at Paul Craig. He'd beat the fuck out of me. But
yeah,
we're talking about kind of a different level of fighter.
And he would be an exciting backup for like any championship fight. Like,
yeah, because he can throw up those triangles and yeah.
So like, I hope he stays relevantly in the top 15 despite that loss.
Seems like he probably will.
He will. The problem is that you don't add any additional wrinkles to your game, and then people develop a game plan against that.
Yeah. Look at Ryan Hall, Chase Hooper.
Yep.
Stop the fucking Aminari rolls. Co-main event. Brandon Moreno is the UFC men's flyweight champion. The quadrilogy is settled. It is Brandon Moreno, 2 finish victories against Deivisen Figueiredo, 1 sub, 1 knockout. Fucking great. Technical knockout. And Deivisen is now going to be moving up to bantamweight, where he probably should be anyway. I really hope that he fights Dominic Cruz. I think that
I
would be.
think bantamweight is a nightmare for him.
I do too, and I think Dominic Cruz is the right litmus test for him in bantamweight, considering Dominic is so friggin' talented. They're both kind of legendary for who they are and their records, and obviously they just both suffered losses to top fighters, and fucking exciting though, man. That was a violent punch, man. Just the knuckle right on the eye. Fuck.
Yep, similar to like we saw with Derek Lewis, Cyril Gahn. He thought he got poked.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that was a punch. That was a punch.
also not an early stoppage.
Not at all. I'm so happy they stopped that. His eye looks so fucking bad.
And Brandon Moreno was winning. They had him up 2-1 on the cards. It probably you probably could argue 3-0. I was thinking about this, right? Because it's the first quadrilogy. You could make the argument that Moreno won all 4 fights. I'm not going to say that he did.
Yeah.
But he technically has not lost to Figueiredo, right? Like, well, no, that's not true. He did lose to Figueiredo, but it was very, very close. They had the split draw, and then he beat him twice. It's, he's the better fighter at flyweight. He has no prayer of moving up to bantamweight. So they,
Yeah.
It's a fun little era.
Yeah.
But
it was cool. Couple of years.
I do think the
flyweight.
better fighter kind of came out on top.
I do too. Plus, he's a fun champion.
Yes.
There's no hate in his heart.
So excited to be there.
Yeah, he is.
Also, like, if you're Deivisen Figueiredo, you got the fuck beat out of you by a guy with a Mickey Mouse tattoo on his back. So,
yeah. I just feel like if you walked up to Brandon Moreno, like on the street, and like you were like, Mr. Moreno, can you have an autograph? He'd be like, you want an autograph from me? You want one
like,
from
will
me,
you sign?
really?
Will you sign one of my Funko Pops?
Yeah, that's so. Yes, so nice. I just feel like it'd be so fucking cool.
Yeah,
to hang out with him. Also in the main event, Gilbert Burns showed off the submission skill against Neil Magny. He also threw less punches in this fight than any of his other fights in the past. So good for him.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think next for Gilbert?
I want it to be Colby.
It'd be so fun.
But there's a lot of uncertainty there with what Colby's doing.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they don't make the Masvidal fight, because they both said that they wanted it. Because that would be
Gilbert
the other
Burns?
fight I would want. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Gilbert Burns beat the fuck out of Jorge Masvidal.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
I
want to see it.
Me too.
Yeah, Gilbert looked great. I don't think Neil Magny. I think honestly, Gilbert was fighting down.
He was.
What about like Wonder Boy? Has Gilbert Burns ever fought him?
It's a great question.
Yes. Oh yeah, just July of 2021.
Beat him, right?
By unanimous decision. I think with as good as Wonder Boy looked last time, that'd be interesting. If it's not going to be Colby, kind of seems like Bilal is maybe like next up for a title shot, but that'd be fun. There's a couple of ways that could go.
Yeah, I think Bilal waits it out though. I think you're right. He wants to wait it out and get that next title shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He definitely wants the title shot more than the money fight.
And then in a couple weeks, Shavkat Rakhmonov will beat Jeff Neal, and then he'll be in the conversation too. So
yeah, Shavkat beats Jeff Neal 2 more fights. He's fighting for a title.
Yeah. Jeff Neal's the type of guy who can ruin that shit real fast though.
Yeah, against Rakhmonov, you think?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think
either.
that against Rakhmonov, but like Hands of Steel, he lives up to that name. He does that sometimes where he just shuts it down. But still Shavkat. Beauty. You talked about Jessica Andrade.
There were 2 30-25s on that card, and it was not crazy.
No. Lauren Murphy, hired by Everlast to test glove durability now.
I think
was
they're
another
Venom
one.
gloves, aren't they?
Fuck.
You're right.
That was another fight that the corner should have thrown in the towel.
Or the referee.
Or the referee who was paralyzed, by the way. Apparently. Just paralyzed watching
the
beatdown go for 3 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Shocked it wasn't Herb Dean.
So that begs the question. Lauren Murphy's chief corner, or one of her corners, is her husband. If your wife is in there and she's getting the absolute ever living shit beat out of her by a fighter, it's clear there's no way that she's going to win this fight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm throwing in the towel.
Absolutely.
I'm throwing in the towel. Hey, you'll thank me later.
Yeah, because you'll remember my name.
I don't understand. That was another one that I don't understand. They had no shot. It was
Mm-mm.
evident.
Very.
It was evident that Lauren, Aaron, you made a really good point during the fight that hey, her jab is pretty effective, but
Yeah, for
that
about
was
9 seconds.
that was it.
Mm-hmm.
She had a significant reach advantage and she was getting lit up
Mm-hmm.
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Those leg kicks, God.
Yeah. What do you think about Jessica Andrade in the flyweight title picture?
Andrade landed 47 leg kicks and 161 to the head in 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely, they said it fight personal best for total strikes.
My God.
Like, setting personal bests here in multiple categories.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by Andrade because she can fight 115 and 125.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's
number
rated
3,
6th.
125, 3 and 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did they drop her? two spots. I mean, she beat Amanda Lemos prior to that. Standing arm triangle. And Amanda Lemos is number 3 in the strawweight rankings. She beat her.
So maybe that's a typo, or do the rankings for these two divisions really matter?
Maybe not. I mean, if
we have number 5 fighting for the belt, right? Alexa Grasso is fighting Shevchenko.
Yep.
Because she's beat everybody else. Well, she hasn't beat Manon, but Manon, who I was initially high on, hasn't looked like a real killer at 125.
And Andrade Manon seems to be like the fight to make now.
Or Tyler Santos, right?
Yeah, both are fun fights.
Mm-hmm.
They're also hinting around Jessica Andrade fighting Carla. I mean, if she wants to go back down to 115.
Why? For
piece
what?
her up.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. I don't think we've seen somebody that can go back and forth between those two divisions and be as competitive as they are. Outside of the very
Amanda
limited time
Nunes.
that Amanda did for 135 and 145. But
yeah,
I mean, let's face it, 145 is not like 115. 115 is probably the most stacked women's division, and then it's 125, and then you got far less at 135.
Yeah. I hope she comes up. I mean, because she was the champion already at 115. Sorry, 125.
Andrade was?
Yeah. She beat Rose, slammed her on her head.
And strawweight is 115, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she beat Rose at flyweight. Wait, no, she beat Rose at strawweight. Yeah.
Yes, it was strawweight. She dropped her on her head. Rose has only ever fought at 115.
May of 19.
Yeah. I would love to see Jessica in the title picture. She's been around a long time, so like she has a lot of cards in circulation. But she was never very popular. So like they're kind of
Zhang Weili knocked out Jessica Andrade in 42 seconds.
Yeah. That was a mauling.
Why don't I remember that?
Happened in China. Yeah, she did it in China.
That's right.
And that was when she became the first Chinese champion.
Yep. And then Rose beat her, and then she beat Katie Chooks, lost to Shevchenko, and then she's been on a tear since.
Yeah. I got high hopes for her, for sure. It surprises me because Andrade is not on our list, but she's like one that I know 100% makes most of her money on OnlyFans, like Paige. Just
what?
Weird.
Hang on.
Andrade is like one of the famous OnlyFans UFC fighters.
We haven't been to the Dome in a while. or the sanctum of truth, and there hasn't been a need to. I don't want to be a part of a show where we're saying that Jessica Andrade is as attractive as Paige Van Zandt.
We're not. We're definitely not that show.
But you're saying
Don't
that she
say
makes
you're
most of her
surprised
money
she's not on the list.
on.
What are you talking about?
Andrade?
You look at Jessica Andrade and think she should be on the list?
No.
You said the words. I'm surprised she's not on the list.
I'm surprised she's not on the list, being that she is one of the famous.
Oh,
UFC
okay.
fighters with an
I see what you're
OnlyFans.
saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, of all the fighters who'd be famous for like their
Okay.
adult modeling, I wouldn't have pinned.
Does she
Jessica
do
Andrade.
adult modeling?
On OnlyFans?
Is that what it is, or is it different adult OnlyFans?
No, that's
stuff?
what she does.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
What's it look like? I'm looking for it myself, so don't worry
Okay,
about
yeah,
it.
you can make.
She paid off her house and her car. That's cool.
Yeah. She doesn't make enough from UFC. Which, by the way, did you know that the show and win payouts for Slap is like $2,000?
Yes.
No way.
Yeah, it got a UFC fighter
Whoa.
talked about how they were offered. Yeah. So, Dom, you found the OnlyFans of Jessica Andrade.
And some stuff of Tisha Torres.
That's right. Who's Tisha married to?
I don't know.
Tisha's married to another.
Is this real? What I'm looking at? I think it is.
Yeah. Unless you found it on our Instagram, it's probably real.
While
you look at that, I'm gonna do this for Shogun. Shogun.
Tisha Torres, I think, makes the list.
Tisha Torres?
I think so.
The tiny tornado? Yeah.
Well,
I
think she makes the list, you guys.
Hey,
it's close.
Teach their own.
But I think she makes the list. And I don't know exactly where this other picture I'm looking at comes from. I'm not totally upset about it. The Jessica Andrade thing is not as cool as I was expecting it to be, if I'm being honest.
That's because she's not on the list.
No, she is not.
No.
And it's not like...
Did you know that Raquel Pennington is married to Tisha Torres?
That's it. Rocky Pennington.
That's hot. I'm not going to lie.
When's your next lingerie submission match? Which, by the way, that is a thing. Lingerie
submission match?
Lingerie Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu League is like an actual league. And it's not porn. Can you believe that? Surprises me. Where is it? Lingerie submission grappling. Yeah, the LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships. Yeah, we don't need to watch that on here.
That seems like something the Spike Network would have had.
It really does. Just like when it had Tough.
So I'm a fan of PVZ. The other one not working for me so much. I do think Tisha Torres is on the list though. Again, it's close. I think she's on it.
Fair. Sage Northcutt, who's probably on the XY chromosome of the list, right? The alternate version.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
totally on the other list.
No,
Yeah.
he's just on the list. Anyway, carry on.
This
Also all natty.
if you're ready,
Okay.
if you're ready to feel old, or at
Hey,
least,
what if Justin Timberlake was a UFC fighter? Good Lord.
yeah,
I'm going to bleach my tips. I'm super fucking ripped. I'm going to fight. Anyway, go on.
he's fighting in one coming up pretty soon, and it will end
Northcutt is?
yeah,
He's coming back?
it'll end 4 years since his last fight.
I'm surprised
And-
it's only been 4 years.
I'm
his
shocked.
face broken.
I'm shocked it's been that long. I could have swore his orbital break was like 2 years ago, but well, I'm excited to see him coming back.
Damage a face like that. Are you insane?
Um, Speaking of damaging a face like that, are you insane? RoboCop got knocked out by Bruno Ferreira. That was kind of surprising, but it was also what we talked about on the podcast, was that Gregory probably had that locked up, but he sticks his chin up and he gets caught, and lo and
Got
behold,
caught, he did.
he got knocked out cold. And Thiago Moises, man, he looked really good, just like he does. Great submission.
Yep.
Shit.
Is Thiago Moises a junior, and are we confusing Thiago Moises Jr. for Thiago Moises Sr.?
I don't know
What?
if he's a junior. I only know that he is. Where is he? He should be ranked. He's not ranked?
No.
Oh.
At welterweight?
Is he welterweight?
Lightweight.
Yeah. Lightweight or welterweight?
Oh. Yeah, he's not even in the 15.
Nor should he be.
Yeah, nope, nowhere to be found. Huh. Anyway. Was there any other big ones from this past event you wanted to chat about? The Bonfim brothers, I mean, they're going to be a thing, right? That fucking flying knee against Terrence McKinney, which, by the way, we only guaranteed one result if you were going to place a bet on this card, and it was that fight would not go to decision. So if you listen to the PMP picks, we are 100% right now.
For
Because
guarantees.
that's the only one we guaranteed.
Yeah.
Shame it went the wrong way.
Guaranteed finish. Well, yeah, he did. Terrence McKinney, the streak continues. 100% finish rate.
Yep. If you're playing DraftKings, his fight has to be on your DraftKings picks in some form.
Yeah. He should just be one of the members. Like, he's a background guy on my 90s MMA R&B boy
Terrence
band.
McKinney.
Yeah.
Terrence McKinney,
Trevin Giles.
Trevin Giles. There's a couple of them.
Isn't there a Trevin Jones also?
I think so.
There is a
If your
Trevin
name's
Jones.
Trevin, you're in.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
I think it'd be funny if, like, also Armin Sarukian or someone like that was in it. It's not going to happen. He's not in, but
I'm down. Well, there's no picks to make. There's no fights this weekend except for PFL Challenger Series starts on Friday, which is going to be, the contenders for PFL, which will be fun. Which I don't know if you've seen the PFL's website on the top. Jake Paul to build the super fights division. Look at that. So they clearly are not giving a shit about weight classes with whatever they're doing with Jake Paul. So there's that factoid.
I mean, is this actually going to translate to him fighting in the PFL with MMA rules? Or is this just going to be like a fucking sideshow?
Your guess is as good as mine, but
yeah. I couldn't tell you. I
Right.
like truly don't know what to make of it. It just seems like MMA is such a different skill set. Now, if he goes in there in MMA rules and fucking starches Nate Diaz, then we got to rethink a lot of stuff, you guys.
Is he going to be Nate Diaz? Because, like, I'm getting vibes when they say developing the pay-per-view super fights division that he's going to fight a tiny dude.
So who?
I don't know.
Jeremy Stevens.
Oh my God, Francis Ngannou, please let it be that.
That's not a tiny dude.
I could see Jeremy Stevens.
Jeremy Stevens, who fights at 145.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake
there's
Paul,
no
that's
way.
what, like 185, 195?
Nobody knows who Jeremy Stevens is. If it's
Who
a,
the
if it's
fuck
a
is
super
that
fight
guy?
division, no way.
Little heathen. Do you see
He's-
that Luke Rockhold? got
Ooh,
his
that would be
release
one.
from the UFC, and
Yeah,
he says
Jake
he wants
Paul
to
would
fight.
Fucking
in other
annihilate
promotions?
Luke Rockhold.
I could see PFL picking up Luke Rockhold and Luke and Jake Paul fighting.
No, if it's in MMA rules, Luke Rockhold, just grab him and take him to the ground, and that's it. But
He could. Luke Rockhold, though, is a kickboxer first, and I mean that's what he's going to want to do is deploy kicks, which would be new for Jake Paul also.
Unless he's just been training MMA and nobody knows.
Could be, people didn't know he was training boxing.
Well, I think people knew he was training boxing.
Yeah.
I think on we don't really talk about it. He is so famous. Like for a certain segment of the population, he is such a big deal. So I think people knew.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
We don't have picks to make, but there is a weird thing with this Louis Spivak card.
Yeah.
On the 4th is that the prelims start at 7 p.m. Western or Western Pacific time.
No, they don't. They start at like 1 a.m., don't they?
The prelims start at 7 p.m. The main card starts at 10 or 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah.
Correct.
They want to appeal for the Asian market. Almost the entire card is
Yeah, that's what we kind of landed on, which is interesting. I guess I understand why they're not just doing it somewhere in Asia.
It's what I thought. Like, why not do this in Singapore?
Yeah, there you go. It's also a strange main event, I think.
Yeah.
It just seems like I don't understand why the fight's even happening, but
yeah, this is a reschedule. Is it not?
okay. Oh, is this the one where Derek Lewis got sick or whatever?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other
we haven't seen Derek Lewis since July. I guess I felt like it was more recent than that.
Yeah. The other one that I was excited about, just threw it in. They announced Jalin Turner versus Dan Hooker on the March 4th card. That super beefy one that has
beefy.
That has Jon Jones returning, Valentina on it, and now Jalin Turner, Dan Hooker. I think that's a really fun fight. That's trouble for Dan Hooker.
It's trouble for Dan Hooker.
A lot of trouble. I would even go so far as to say, I would say decision, but solid UD loss because I think
this card is 285 is so stacked. So you throw Jalin Turner and Dan Hooker in there. I'm supposing that becomes the 5th main card fight, which currently only has
4. Yeah, 4 fights.
But you also have Damone Blackshear, who was in the 90s R&B band, against Basharat. Is that Julia Penny?
Jessica
Penny.
Whatever. Viviana Araujo and Amanda Hebos. You have Cody Garbrandt and is it Julian Arce? What's his first
Julio.
name? Julio, thank you. Derek Brunson and Drickus, Bo Nickel, Jeff Neal and Shavkat Rachmanov. Isn't Valentina also on this card now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that'll be the 5th main card fight. That's right. Okay. And then Jon Jones and Cyril Gahn.
Yeah. And that Julian Marquez Marc-Andre Barrio fight is going to be a war. This is also the card that's rumored to have Amanda on it, also the 3-belt card. I don't think
Amanda's going to fight on that card.
I don't either, but if it is, it would make sense because then if they want to set up Valentina Amanda rematch, if they both win that night, perfect timing for them to be fighting each other. Like International Fight Week or the fall card, the big September, October. But yeah, 285 looks friggin' loaded.
We're going to have 2 pay-per-views in March. 285 and 286.
Just 2 weeks apart. 286 is Edwards Usman.
Yes.
Justin Gaethje, Rafael Fiziev, Gunnar Nelson, Daniel Rodriguez, Marvin Vettori, Roman Dolidze, Jack Shore, Makwan Amirkhani.
Nathaniel Wood, Lerone Murphy's going to be good too.
Lerone Murphy is on the 90s R&B. So is Malcolm Gordon for that matter. Luana Carolina's coming back. Man, the UFC coming out firing.
Yeah. And the Jan Davalishvili card, like who knows going to be on that. Damn.
287 in April?
Man, February 18th is coming up so fast. Like 3.5 weeks away from Vera Sandhagen already. And Talia Santos, Aaron Blanchfield. That's going to be a telling one for flyweight. There's a lot of good things to look forward to.
Yes, there is.
In the world of UFC. Gentlemen, there is not a week that goes by in which I'm not fulfilled by the time we spend together and the time we spend with the fellowship.
Thank you for not saying it fills your cup. I don't like when people say that.
I don't like it either, especially on sports shows.
A cup holds liquid. Ryan, I just noticed your shirt.
Yeah?
Yes.
What about it?
I like it.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
It's a work shirt.
Mm-hmm. Is it long sleeve or? Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
No, it's a short sleeve.
It's a polo. I like that you button it all the way up.
It's very European.
Is that a European thing?
It is.
Okay.
Oh, the other thing we didn't shout out, maybe we can end on it. Jamahal Hill makes it the second American UFC champion in the UFC, which is cool. We now got two.
And a North American.
That is true. Brandon Moreno.
Yeah.
So if we really want to get in there, we got
Yep,
three
North Americans.
champions.
Could be 4 in March.
Yeah.
Oh, John?
Yep. Jon Bones Jones.
It definitely could be. Hey, how was Disneyland last week?
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like right in between before they started Lunar New Year event, and then there weren't people like on ski week vacation, and it wasn't raining. We went into Disneyland, immediately got on 3 rides, waited. The longest wait was 25 minutes for Haunted Mansion, then went over to California Adventure, hopped on another 3 rides, and then went back over to Disneyland, got right onto Rise, and then on a whim did a Smuggler's Run, which was a mistake.
Why?
Because when you only have 2 people, it's a gamble on what you're gonna get. And
that ride has a serious flaw in that sense.
If you have children that are the pilots, you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
But it was great.
Or my mother-in-law, for that matter.
What do I do?
Or the good doctor and his wife. That was a trip.
It was great. Really, really low key. Not a whole lot going on. Not crowded at all. Probably the least crowded I've seen it in some time. Weather was great. Wore a beanie all day, and a jacket. It's good times.
I'm gonna go on Friday after work, and then we'll be there all day the next Friday. But the new Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway opens on Friday.
Oh,
so they're doing the virtual queue thing. So we'll see how that works. Oh
yeah, in Toontown. That's right. That's the only ride they're doing the virtual queue for right now.
Yeah, from not being there. I don't know how, because the queue times are 7 and 1. So 1 o'clock makes sense. You could be in the park at that point, but I don't understand how you do it at 7. Because like at Disney World, where I did it for the Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster, because we were staying on a resort property, it knew that, right? I don't know how Disneyland's going to do it. We'll see. Excited for that. And then I got some information on grad night today. So it's actually on a Friday. So I guess the buses leave the school. We typically have 9 or 10 buses. That's how many fucking kids go. And 2 adults per bus. I'm going with a friend, coworker of mine. Buses leave school at 8 a.m., get to Disneyland, get the kids all checked and shuttled in. And then shuffled in rather. And they get all day park hopper tickets for the rest of the day that we're there. And then at 9 p.m., California Adventure is only open to the seniors and the chaperones from 9 p.m. to like 2 a.m.
Damn.
So it's legitimately like a 20-hour day by the time we get back.
Wow.
Yep.
Damn.
I'm excited. Tired. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. That'll be really fun.
Long day.
I was going to say like Disneyland 2024, but I don't know if that's
Disneyland right now.
2023.
Yeah.
Let's go with Jamahal Hill 2024.
Yeah, Jamahal Hill 2024.
Yeah, you know why I love MMA so much? It's pretty neat. That is 100% true, but it's also because it brings us together. You know what? Violence really does bring people together.